Hello everybody, Terrence Pop here with another episode of Live from the Lair. I hate to keep whipping a dead horse, but one of my fans sent me some information in regards to a anomaly or a phenomena that happened in China between 1966 and 1977. And the more I read into this subject, the more it scared the ever-loving shit out of me. Because the parallels between this anomaly and what's happening here is oddly identical. You know, when I was in high school and middle school, I was never a fan of history, okay? It just wasn't something that brought any passion forward within me to actually get interested in it and learn. Apparently, this changed 180 degrees once cable came up with the History Channel, which I watch to this very day because we are stupid, evil, hairless monkeys, and we keep doing the same goddamn bullshit, and we just don't seem to be able to learn how to unfuck the fucking cycle that's going on. All right, so, you know, I never thought I'd be preaching history to anyone, but if you're smart, you'll pay attention. So we're going to get right into it. All right, on this board, this phenomena is called the Red Guard of 1966 to 1976. Please, when you see this video, Google it and read up on it, okay? Because it's very, very, very chilling. And there's a lot of shit that went down. And I'm just going through some of the highlights that I noticed went on with them, and almost identically what's happening here. This is scary. All right, so in August of 1966, a bunch of students decided, these are college students and individuals who graduated, you know, right around this year here. They put on a bunch of red bands around their arms and decided they were going to call for change for the oppressed, which the term didn't exist back then, but it does now. Social justice. All right. So they decided, hey, this shit is all fucked up. It's not fair. We're gonna change it. Well, did they change anything? Not really. And in the long run, a lot of people died. And we'll get to that. Okay, now this whole thing was supported by the media within the country of China. And apparently, from what I read, it's like a snowball effect. Since they're doing all this craziness and the media was saying, hey, this is a good thing, blah, 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 and was coaxing them along, it's kind of like pushing the snowball to the edge just as it starts to go down the hill. And then it just grows out of control from there. And you wind up with a huge snowball that breaks apart, turns into an avalanche, and just has a huge swath of destruction. Okay, now, most of the groups that supported the Red Guard in the beginning were eventually targeted for destruction by the Red Guard. So, I mean, I talked about this in a couple of videos in the past about the useful idiots. And this always happens to the useful idiots. In the beginning, they're great. They're the people that, you know, your blockers, you hide behind them. They do all the heavy lifting. And then once you get into positions of power, you can't have them around because they could turn on you and they get wiped out. All right, there was a lot of Christian sects, and there was the Catholics and some other, dialects of Christianity that were on board with this, who were virtually destroyed to the last man. In the swath of destruction that took place after this. There was mass riots, looting, burning, and murder. All right, I'm going to say it again. mass riots, looting, burning, murder. BLM, burn, loot, murder. Ring a bell? This was going on all over the goddamn country, and it was quite a problem for China. It's probably one of the main reasons why China did not get directly involved in the Vietnam conflict, is because they had all this craziness going on back home. And, one more thing of negative sentiment towards the government and the country, it would have been bad. Who knows? It would have been good for us, bad for them. It's all relative. All right, another thing that happened, statues were torn down and destroyed. All right. I mean, they were tearing down statues that were, to emperors that were thousands of years old and so forth. And it didn't stop just there. I mean, they were just going to town. It's the same thing that's going on here. Any excuse, and they're tearing it down. All right. Temples and holy places were attacked and defaced. To include destroyed, which a lot of the supporters were, churches and other religious sects. They were destroyed, run out, and I don't even know if they're still there today. Or if the religion that exists in China is strictly state approved. So, who knows? I mean, I don't really plan on going to China ever after all this craziness, so it is what it is. All right, now, cemeteries were attacked, defaced, and destroyed, and they actually dug up some of the dead, dragged their corpses around, and put them up in trees and so forth. I mean, this is fucking crazy. And this kind of behavior was supported by their media at the time. Now, this is going on today here in America, and we've heard almost nothing about this in the media. All right, now let that sink in. They've heard almost nothing about these crazy sons of bitches digging up the dead, pulling their bodies out, and so forth in graveyards. Okay, I've just seen a couple of splurbs or splashes, tombstones, and other monuments to war dead being destroyed. Again, this is another thing that, in my opinion, is being supported by the media here in the United States just by remaining silent about it. All right, now we're going to go over to the other board here.
Up until the coronavirus, the millennial generation was the largest pandemic the world had ever seen. And the list of symptoms is longer than a walk to Mordor. If you have a useless college degree, live at home in your 30s, believe all women, always have an excuse for your failures, and think Bernie Sanders actually has good ideas, I got bad news for you. You've caught the stupid, and it's probably terminal. Weh? Luckily, there's a cure. Pick up How Not to Become a Millennial, a salvation guide for Generation Z, and vaccinate yourself against the soy. A link is in the description.
All those people in the suburbs who think, that's nowhere near me. What's going on in the cities, that's the cities. I don't go in the city that often. It doesn't really concern me. Well, if this gets a hold and starts to go crazy and gets to a point where it can no longer be effectively controlled without using large amounts of violence, they're going to go after the wealthy. Now, the wealthy in China were attacked and destroyed. Their houses burned down. They were killing the individuals, the wealthy individuals, and their entire families, because somehow, if you have a good head on your shoulders, you know how to conduct business, and you get wealthy from it, you somehow took advantage of the other people to get to that level, and therefore, you deserve death. Now, this happened to a lot of people. We'll get to the numbers at the end. All right, now the police were disbanded, and in some areas they were flat out told to stand down and let this Red Guard people just do whatever the fuck they wanted. And I'm thinking, one of the main reasons for the huge crackdown on the Tiananmen Square in China in 1986 is they didn't want to see that phenomena start up again. So they surrounded it with tanks, and they just started smoking everybody. All right. Now, I'm not saying that's the best way to go about it, but it is a technique, I'm just going to say. All right. Now, at the end of the day, roughly 18 to 22 million people were sent to re-education camps. Now, the funny thing when you hear about re-education camps is you never really hear about the number of people who actually come back from said re-education camps. And, the people that were sent there were individuals who were guilty of wrongthink, or they did something that fell out of favor with the mob, and therefore they wound up, making big rocks into little rocks and little rocks into gravel, and then digging holes and so forth until either they died or they were deemed re-educated, or at the end of the day they just shut the whole thing down and sent everyone home because they realized it was fucking stupid. And the only thing that changed was the number of population, and it was less. Because in 1976, when this whole thing came to an end, and it petered out, it didn't just stop. It went on, like I said, it went on for 10 years. 20 to 30 million people were dead. Okay? And I don't even know if that number includes people who went to the education camp, or was just people who were executed or killed in regards to all of the burning, looting, and murder that was going on, the BLM. So what I'm trying to say here is this. This is happening here in the United States. You can see it on the media. This isn't just in the major Democrat cities. There are a lot of smaller cities out there that have had riots and destruction, and you have never heard about any of this in the media of today here in the United States. All right, now unlike China, we have a assload of people who have firearms. All right, because that's a right afforded us through the Constitution of the United States. So, in my opinion, the only way that they can have something like this happen here to a full extent in the United States is when they disarm everyone. Because, gun violence is bad and blah, blah, blah. Because as it stands now, you got somewhere between 210, 300 million guns floating around in a population with a country with a population of roughly 330 to 360 million people. All right, now, in my personal opinion, there is going to be some hard choices that are going to need to be made in the future. None of the choices that are going to work to change this from happening are going to be good. All right? As an individual who was going to war and had to make crazy fucked up decisions on the ground, all you can really hope to do is make the decisions that are the least fucked up. I mean, holy shit. I never thought that I would ever see this here in the United States. Let me correct that. As an individual, I've always been a higher level thinker. And even as a small child, when I was riding my skateboard, jumping ramps on my bike when I was 8, 10, 12 years old, I always appreciated what was going on, and the country I lived in, and the good times that I had at the time. Because I knew one day they would come to an end. And the only way that they would come back is through a long, drawn-out, vicious process, remembering where we came from, and putting back in place the government and the ideals that made us great. Because right now, because of what's been taught in K through 12 and virtually on every college campus, is America's bad, we are incredibly racist, we discriminate against everybody, there's a rape culture, and everyone's a victim. Well, in my personal opinion, before this is all done, every single person out there in TV land is going to be a victim in some form or another. For those of you that go two tits to the sky, rest in peace, and may God have mercy on your soul. And that includes me. All right. It's Terrence Popp here. Sorry for the bad news, but I just tell you the truth. Out.